Hey, I'm back, and I've been thinking over the last few days, and I think that my focus on dueling has kind of diminished over the last 5 episodes, and I think partly that's because I keep changing classes, and I just haven't really been dueling as much as I should. So this week I was dueling a lot more, and I really intend to focus on it coming up, because I feel like dueling forms the backbone of everything else you do. If you know how to counter people, if you know how to dodge properly, if you know how to increase your burst, then you're going to be doing well in wars or OPR. So I feel like that's the bread and butter. It's the basics that you want to get right. So I really want to focus on dueling with a little bit of OPR thrown in, and that's what I'm going to be doing on this video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show this week where I got back into dueling and I was fighting hard opponents that I couldn't beat, and then eventually I gave them a good challenge, and I just want to show those videos of what I did to how I sort of learnt from those fights, and then how I turned it into a win or a near win in one case, which we shall not mention. Then I'm going to go over some big tips that I've picked up in OPR that helps you fighting in, you know, OPR or when you're outnumbered. So just some tips that I've picked up this week that really helped me do well there. And yeah, that'll be the video. But so that's the plan for the video, so I'll just get right into the duels. Alright, so the first duel I had for the week had to be OG. I knew I needed to get back into dueling, and I knew I was going to be rusty as and just really bad at dueling. So I came and fought OG because I knew it would be relaxed and he wouldn't judge me when I'm not missing. See, right there, I mean, I should have easily dodged that. But so this was going to be at the start of the week where I was really dodging. No, sorry, it was just the start of the week where I was just playing really badly. But I sort of started to warm up a little bit. So you can see towards the... So we've had lots of duels at this point. So you're only seeing 2. But we've had... Like, we were dueling for like an hour. So this is kind of towards the end of the hour where you can see that... Well, that wasn't a good example. But I'm starting to dodge a little bit better. What I was doing here was just really focusing on my dodging and making sure that I'm not getting hit by his attacks. Because I needed to kind of just get my eye in, so to speak, because I was starting to duel more seriously now, and I just needed to get my eye in on those stuns and stuff so that I wasn't getting caught by them. Okay, so one of my earlier fights was with Big Axe swinging, and you can see here he's very evasive and good at dodging my attacks. Like, I'm basically missing every attack, and he's just staying right on the back of me. And then that makes me panic, and I run myself out of stam just there. And so then he's able to lock me into a stun and then just basically make me pay. And so we had like 10 fights like this, and he was like, I was quite lucky there to get him in a stun. But we had a lot of fights, and he was just doing this to me the whole time. I just couldn't touch him. He was just very evasive, and yeah, basically smacked me. Okay, so after being ruffle stomped a few times, I actually increased my DPI because I'd been playing on my mage before this, and so it was quite low. It was on 800. And so I realized that I needed to obviously be able to respond. Like, I was just moving too slowly. I was like lumbering, kind of. So I increased my DPI, and then what I did is I tried to reverse the tactics on him. So I started adopting this strategy, which really worked in this fight, where I would actually sort of dodge and then flick around behind him, and then I'd be on the back of him. So you can see it here. I sort of dodged behind him, and then I'm on the back of him. So now he's sitting air. So I'm kind of using his tactics against him a little bit. And so you can see it works there, and you'll see it a few more times in this fight. So here I stupidly run myself out of stam, and I pay for it. And so you'll see it again here. So I come up to him, and then you'll see he's going for the attack. I dodge, and then I'm behind him. And then you'll see it again where I come up to him. So that was sort of like we both missed there, but you'll see it really well here. He goes for his attack, I dodge behind him, and then I'm hitting his back. So I'm sort of using those tactics against him, and then I've got him quite low. I panic a little bit here because I'm just like, oh, he's low and I haven't won for ages, so I've got to get these attacks off and kill him. But yeah, eventually I do just whittle him down and win that fight. So you really do need to be watching not just your stam, but theirs as well, which is something I haven't really been doing so much. So yeah, I've been paying more attention to that this week as the fights have gone on, so that's been quite good. Just looking at their stam bar, and when they get low, that's when you do your big CCs and try to get off your big combos on them. But so this is a fight with Taiju Shi. This is early on in the week, kind of after the OG one. So I was still a bit slow and clunky, so I was still kind of getting my dueling mojo on. So he had beaten me quite a few times early on. So this is an example of that. But as the fights went on, I started to, not to say that I was winning, but I was starting to win more against him as I started to dodge better. So you can see here, I dodged his attack there better, and I was able to land him in a stun. So I was just, you know, I was just getting my groove back on, getting into the rhythm, which is just so important in dueling. So yeah, this was one of the later fights where I just started to beat him more and more, and you can see that here because I'm dodging just so much more better. I just had my eye on at this point, so I was able to put more of a defense, and then you can see here I managed to catch him in the stun while he's trying to do his and then finish him off. Alright, this is a controversial one. And just so you know, me and Do Nothing are friends, so, you know, what I'm about to say about him, just take it as a bit of tongue-in-cheek, because I really like the guy, I really rate him, but very unimpressed by his antics in one of these duels, which we'll get into shortly. But essentially, I've been dueling Do Nothing for hours and hadn't beat him once. He's playing a Sword and Shield Rapier. He used to play a Sword and Shield Spear until it got nerfed. So I started using the tactic I just showed with Big Axe swinging. I noticed that when he would he'd do his little attacks on me, and if I did my little, I'll show it here. So he goes for the attack, and then I dodge behind him, and then do the attacks. And I noticed that was sort of putting him off a little bit. So I was actually having some quite success with that. So this is where the controversy begins. So you can see that I was also staying really aggressive on him. I found that really helped just to be really on him. So I was really aggressive. I was making sure I was dodging his stuns, looking out for that riposte. So now I get him really low, and then look what happens here. Do Nothing, you should be ashamed of yourself. He runs away while using his shield skill to heal himself up. Oh. That's okay, I come out of that duel with my honor intact. Alright, so this next fight was actually, I'd been dueling, unfortunately I don't have any of the ones that I was losing, but I was fighting this mage, and he kept beating me, but I just noticed I had to be really aggressive and stay on top of him, so that he has to burn through his cooldowns quicker. So basically too, what I'm watching out for is every time he tries to do a fire attack, I just make sure I dodge, but I try to dodge forward so I get that, you know, I'm still getting closer and closer to him. And so I was actually able to finish him off. Fighting mages as a melee is really, really hard. You're just going to be, I think you're just going to be really aggressive and just watch those fire attacks and make sure you dodge them. So by the end of the week, I was actually having some, I was a lot better. These are some of the fights at the end of the week, and just dodging better, fighting better. So I definitely want to get more duels, but I really recommend, like, the best way to learn is fighting people that you lose to and just fighting them over and over and over again, because that's really incredibly frustrating, but you do pick stuff up during those fights, like what I was picking up with a little kind of dodge and then jump behind them, and then of course that comes in handy later when you're fighting other people too. So it's kind of cool, and I think I might do more of those videos where I might put up some of the videos where I'm fighting the whales of my server and just show like little tactics that are working against them. So okay, so now we're gonna get into some OPR tips. But before I do that, I just wanted to alert you of a really good Bruiser I've been watching lately, and he has a similar number of subscribers to me, and he plays a similar style, like kind of Bruiser medium armor. He does some other stuff too. So yeah, I know what it's like to be a smaller channel and getting subscribers. I really, really recommend. This is obviously him now. I'm plagiarizing the shit out of him, but you know, I'm kind of advertising him, so hopefully it's okay. If you want to have a new person to subscribe to him. I'll put his link in the description. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to talk about at OPR that I found really helpful is if you think about each swing as like a metronome, right? So if you rush your attacks, you just keep pressing your left mouse button, you'll be going dung, 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 and you'll be attacking really quickly. But what I've found that does is it slows it basically makes you really susceptible to getting stunned because you're so busy swinging that you won't often settle. You'll be in the middle of a swing that you'll get stunned. So what I've found is if you slow that metronome down, you will catch the stuns 90% more of the time. The other thing it also does is when you start down is you actually hit more, because if you're just madly swinging, they'll kind of move out of your range, but you'll still be madly swinging where they were. Whereas if you sort of just pace your attacks, so you slow that metronome down, so rather than going dung 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 dung, you go dung 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 like that. So if you slow it down, you're better at avoiding stuns, and you're going to be much better at seeing where they are, so you make sure that you're kind of landing each of those attacks. So even though you're going dung dung dung, each of those attacks are actually hitting. So I'll show you an example of a really good example of that right now. So you'll see that I'm just swinging quickly, bong bong. I'm not slowing it down, and then I get caught by the stun. Okay, so let's look at that in slow motion. I've already come out of a stun. I'm just swinging rapidly. I'm not kind of paying attention. I'm not slowing it down, and then they just so easily stun me. And then that kind of sets me up into a healing deficit, because now my health's really low, and I'm just trying to get out of there, and I end up dying. Okay, so here's a good example of where I am doing it. So after I get that kill, I come in. You can look at the... Okay, so I get a stun up, but you can see my attacks when I go for my light attacks, like, dang, dang. So you can see the metronome's quite slow, and you can see he goes to the stun, then I'm able to dodge it. So again in slow motion, you can see I'm just going, slow the metronome down. I hit, he jumps, I dodge out of the dodge, and because I'm just not attacking really quickly, I'm able to turn around and hit him. So one of the things I also need to get really good at is getting my burst AoE damage off on clumps of people. I noticed that Zaysa, the guy that I just showed you before, does that really effectively, and I'm just not doing it that well. I'm not sure if I should go... If I do Gravity Well first, often they kind of dodge out of it and I can't get my Shockwave on it. So I'm trying to decide whether I should go Shockwave, then Gravity Well Maelstrom, or the other way around. But definitely that's something that I need to be working on. The problem is, often I'll push myself into clumps trying to find those AoEs and then get outnumbered and die. And that's also something it's like example right here. I just shouldn't be right in the middle of them right there unless I have all my AoEs up. So one tactic that I've picked up is to basically, you know, treat each fight like it's a duel. And so you don't want to be running into big clumps. What you want to do is isolate a player, really focus on that player and what they're doing, and try to kill them. You'll find that also while keeping that metronome nice and slow. And you'll find that when you do that, if you're just trying to fight kind of 1 or 2 people at a time, you'll tend to keep yourself out of trouble because you won't be pushing it into those clumps. And you basically just save those clumps for your big AoEs. And in that case, you'd sort of want to charge in there, do your big AoE damage, and then back off. Because you've got to remember, you're a bruiser, you're pretty tough, but you're not heavy armor. You shouldn't be like fighting right under there unless you've got like some really solid healing circles going. But I just found that when I treated each fight like a duel, like I'd really focus on one player, and I would be looking at them and trying to dodge them, and it would actually just make me really effective. I died a lot less and I did a lot more damage, and then I just reserved my big AoEs for the big clumps. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will hopefully, I'm definitely going to be focusing more on dueling this week, and I hope to have some good content for you then too. Goodbye.